Massa is made of, that it didn't have time to rise. The yeast didn't have time to puff the bread up. Unfortunately, we are seeing a day in our country whenever Israel is being looked upon as just another burden or another country. The Bible said that blessed are they that pray for the peace of Israel. And the nation that turns against Israel, God will turn against them. And unfortunately, our president was willing to ignore totally Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, which my wife and I had the privilege of having dinner with him whenever we were in Israel a few years ago. He was mayor of Jerusalem. Got to sit at the table with him, meet him. She's got pictures of him somewhere. But our president didn't have time to have his picture taken with him or to acknowledge that Israel is the apple of God's eye. Now, whenever we start looking at things called Passover and Massa, they're foreign to us. We say, well, what difference does that make to us? That's in the Old Testament. We don't have anything to do with that. The truth of it is the gospel would have no foundation whatsoever if it were not for the prophecies of the Old Testament. The New Testament simply is relating to the fact that the prophecies have been fulfilled and are being fulfilled. I want to talk to you this morning, Passover Sunday, and I want to talk to you on what do I need to bring to the supper? What do I need to bring to the supper? Now, next Sunday, God willing, we're going to have a great feast, a great dinner. I look forward to it, anticipate it, and I hope you do too. I hope you have prepared your family to come and join with us in a time of fellowship and for a meal. All be prepared. Amen. All you have to do is just show up. What do I have to bring to the supper? Some people insist that they've got to bring something. I told Rhonda, I said, if they insist that they've got to bring something, they'll go ahead and bring it. Amen. We're going to have an abundance because we've made provisions beforehand. Now, my wife, Rhonda, and a bunch of you laugh at me because we always make an abundance. But see, I'd rather have things left over than not have enough. Now, the beautiful thing about Passover, the Jews all over the world, millions of Jews today are in celebration of a Passover that they teach their children. See this flatbread, this wafer? It has no yeast in it because yeast is puffed up. This is humble bread. To remind us of where we have come from and where we are going. Now we come to Passover. We come to Palm Sunday. And we celebrated the fact the kids are out of school, so we got time to go here and yonder. But after all, God owes something to us. We're Americans. We're a land of the free and the home of the brave. Think about it. How free we are and how brave we are. John 12 to 17. John the 12th chapter, beginning with the 12th verse. On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. Now, I want to try to paint a picture here for you this morning. As we came into Jerusalem, coming around the mountain, the little bus that we were on coming from Tel Aviv, stopped, and the guide said, we want to prepare your heart and your mind and your emotions. Those that have never seen Jerusalem, it's going to be an overwhelming sight. And as we came around that little bend and on that mountain and saw this white stone city glimmering in the sun, and they were playing a tape on the bus, I think it said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Jesus is coming into Jerusalem. Now, Palm Sunday has got to be more than just a parade or seeing someone coming down the street. They were in preparation for the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, set their own, as it is written. For not, daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's coat. These things understood not his disciples at the first. But when Jesus was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him. The people, therefore, that was with him when he called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead bear record. Now, putting it in the right perspective, John is saying, we didn't understand what was going on until after the resurrection, but now I can give to you the message with clarity. I'm writing this after the fact that as Jesus came into Jerusalem, he came sitting on the back of an ass, coming in as the King of Israel, because that's what's written of him. Did you know the Bible tells us that the world economy is going to collapse in a 24-hour period? That's not what I'm going to preach on this morning. I'm talking about on Palm Sunday, and they took down the palm tree. Now, the palm branches was of great significance in Jerusalem. Not only then, but now they are of great significance. Because the date palm provided not only food for the Jews and the Hebrews to eat, it also provided them with building materials for their shelters and the trunks of them for the feeding of their camels. So they took the trees, the palm trees, out of the branches, and there they began to cry out, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the King that cometh in the name of the Lord. The King is coming to Israel. That's what Palm Sunday is about. It's saying that we believe that God had made a promise that had been written many hundreds of years before the event took place, that God had made a promise that the King was coming back to Jerusalem. They didn't understand the event that was taking place.